Welcome to Daf Tezayin Yerushalmi Megillah. Back to that. Tani, we learned Ein Ein Amini Saima V'Loi Amin Ketufa. We'll see what those are in a minute. Ben Hazo Ima Oina Amini Saima Yu Banavi Simon Ketufa Tikatov Nishmase. That it's like a Karus kind of punishment. Arucha. If he answers a longer Amin Yarach Yom V'Tov. Again, doesn't mean overly long where it sounds silly. It means instead of just chapping it. Ezi Yomini Sama. What is an Yomini Sama? Amar Rav Chuna, hein, the Chayav Lemivrecha, where someone is Chayav make a bracha, bu ani, and the guy answers Amen, but the Mawani doesn't know what he's answering Amen to. That's an Yomini Sama. Tani, Goy, Shabirech es Hashem, Ein Achav, a Goy that makes the bracha, so we answer Amen. Kusi, regardless of here, Ein Ein Achrav, Amen. Kusi did not answer Amen after his bracha. He's on a lower madrig, and this day is kind of the guy because he's kind of like a wise guy. This time we take it that that he is not does not have the real Shem in mind. Amar Avtan Chum Berecha Goy Aneach Rav Amen. If a guy gives you a bracha, answer Amen afterwards. The Ksut says Baruch Tiyeh B'Kol Amim. So if whoever gives you a bracha. Goy Echad, so the Gemara relates a story. Goy Echad Pagab Rabbi Shmuel Berecha. There's a guy who met Rabbi Shmuel and he gave him a bracha. Amalei, he says to the guy, Kvami Lascha Amira, your word is already said. Echad Pagaboy Vikilale meets another guy, and that guy curses him. Amalei Kvami Lascha Amira. He says to him the same thing. He says, "Oh, your thing was already said." Amrele Talmida says, Rebbe, Heich Mad Amet Lahen, Amat Lahen. So he says, I understand what you said to the first guy, giving the same, the guy curses you, give him the same answer as the one who gave you a bracha. Amaline. He said, Veloichen Ksiv, Arecha Arim Vecha Baruch. And I'm referring back to the Pasuk. So if you curse me, then you're cursed. And if you bench me, then you're benched. Zogt, the Heilige Mishnah Lacha Yud. Ein bein koin Meshuach b'Shem HaMishcha. There's no difference between a kohen gadol who's Meshuach b'Shem HaMishcha and Meruba b'Gadim, and to one who's Meruba b'Gadim during Bar Sheni where they didn't have the Shem HaMishcha. Ela par ha'ba'al kol ha'mitzvahs, that the Meruba b'Gadim does not bring a par ha'ba'al kol ha'mitzvahs. Ein bein koin sheshimish l'koin she'ava. There's no difference between the permanent kohen gadol and the kohen gadol who replaced him. As we know, Yom Kippur, they appointed a replacement kohen gadol just in case something would happen to the main Kohen Gadol. So what's the difference between those two? Elapaya, Mekipurim, Vasir, Sa'efa, we'll see. The Gemara will discuss that. Look, the Gemara. Tani, Kohen Mashiach, maybe par, Abba Kol HaMitzvahs, Einam Rubagod, maybe par. So there's a special din in Hyrius of a Kohen Gadol who paskins for himself wrongly that lach, and then he goes and he follows that psak, his own psak, which is wrong. So over there, he has to bring a par. So only the Kohen Mashiach, the Kohen Gadol is Meshuach, B'Shem HaMishcha brings that par, not the Meruba B'Gadim. To like Rebbe does not like Meir. Why? The Rebbe Amar, Meruba B'Gadim maybe par. That even Meruba B'Gadim brings the par. My time the Rebbe, where does he get it from? So well, Mashiach, my time alone Kohen. It says in the pasuk, "Kim Kohen Mashiach yechtel Hashmasam, v'ikudu v'chatas shechot ha'pabaka tamim l'Hashem lechatos." So it says over there, HaKohen HaMashiach. So Rebbe says, what do I have to say? Why does it have to say HaKohen HaMashiach? Matam Elohim HaKohen. Obviously, what else are we talking about? L'Rabbus and Rebbe God means even if he's not Mashiach, he's just a Kohen Gadol, good enough for him to bring a par. Matam Rabbanon hold that only the Kohen Mashiach brings the par. So Mashiach Yochel Zeh HaMelech. Because when it says the Rabbanon dash like this, I would think Mashiach is talking about who? The Melech. Tam Elohim Kohen. A melech was also Meshuach, not a melech ben melech, but unless there was a vikuach, but he's referred to as Mashiach. I koyin. So if it says koyin, yochel af meruba begadim, tamaloi, but it says Mashiach. Knows he's a koyin that was Meshuach, right? Ayachal, Freiti Gemara, 1 second. Ayachal Shani Mabaf Meshuach Muhammad. Maybe, as I would have thought that maybe Meshuach Muhammad is also included in this because he's also Mashiach. Talmud Loim, and what goes over here, HaMashiach. Now it's a bit Teheya Yediyah. Shein Agab of Mashiach. There's nobody else on top of him that's Meshuach. Mashain came the Meshuach Muhammad, the coin that went out with the army. He had the coin Gadol to contend with that was higher than him. Freit die Gemara Mechel Shitze in the Rabban. It says the Rabban Hachik said Mashiach. It says Mashiach Basir Seifa. And when Marba the Meruba begotten that he's also mechuyev to bring the Asir Seifa. And Hachik said Mashiach by us over here by Parabel Kol Mitzvahs. And yet over here when we might the Meruba begotten. So it says why? Hacha so it says Hachin and Amrim l'Rabbis Meruba begotten like we said Hachin and Amrim l'Haitzis and Meruba begotten. Why? Or reveal a Kol Midrash or Midrash Ben Yonah. You have to look at the context. Tam on Kol Parasha Meruba Aaron. over there by Sirius Ephah, the entire parsha over there is discussing Aaron. Leizadav and Nema Kayin. So why does it say Kayin? That must be L'Rabbis, not just the Mashiach, but also Esamruba Begodim. But I'm hocha in a parsha muraba Aaron. So I wouldn't know it's talking about necessarily Aaron, and therefore I need Mashiach to tell me I'm talking about the Kohen Gadol. Like we said, maybe I'm talking about the Melech. So therefore, we need the pasuk teach me talking about the Kohen Gadol, and therefore Mashiach is not available. It's not available to teach me that I'm sorry that the Kohen is not available to teach me that it's talking about Meruba Gadim. Now we're going to go to gears a change over here. Like we said, why did you think of talking about the Melech? Al Helam Dava, maybe Pava, Shigas Maisa, maybe Sa'ir. In other words, that the king in other words, why do I have to tell me I'm talking about, I'm going to Korban's shot over here, and why do I have to tell me the king was already discussed? Why would I think I'm talking about the king? So the Gemara is saying, because I would think maybe the king, it depends. He brings two different kavanas. He brings a par for Helam Davar, and Shigas Mais, he brings a soy. So, no. Now we're discussing the kohen, right? And okay, this part, the next few lines in the Gemara is basically according to the Carbonate, this pshat, just a repeat of what we just said. Or no, maybe not Garisit. In Tamikvak Kodma Pashas HaMelech already had a TCM Elham Davar, maybe Pav Ashiyas Maisi, maybe so, like we just said, have a Tzarech Shum Yom Mashiach, V'Tzarech Shem Kohen. And if to teach me, I'm talking about the Kohen. So therefore, nothing's available to teach me that the Kohen, that the Kohen Gadol Meruba Gadim is mechuyev to bring a par, and therefore he's not including the halachas of par haba kol mitzvahs. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Avar behavi asir sefer shaloi kasha. If the Kohen she'avar, right, the Kohen she'avar, now it's the replacement Kohen. Like we said, Yom Kippur there was a replacement Kohen. If he went and he brought his own asir sefer, it's kasha. Okay. Now the Gemara goes to this case with Yom Kippur, right? So we said maskin loy koyin achet hachtav shem yero loy psul, because there might be a psul, so therefore there might be a psul in the koyin gadol. So we want to have a replacement just in case Yom Kippur. So we appoint another person to do it. So freit Gemara mam yachten leimeo, do we put them together alone? So Gemara Amar Rab Chani Moshe, like Lashon Hashua, dinan miyachten leimei do kotle, they'll kill each other. It says in the pasuk. It says in the pasuk, "B'yomi moshach oisai b'asir sa'efa," and it doesn't say. It could have said "b'yom moshchoi." So Gemara dashens, "Echad moshkin ve'ein moshkin shnai." Well, only when we point his replacement coin, we he doesn't get shem and a mishcha. Amid Rechon pnei Eva. Rechon says he doesn't hold 100% of the drushes. He says it's also because of Eva. You don't want to have two people that have the exact same rights. We know klal, famous klal that in shteim lach mishtam shem b'kes echad. How about Avazev Shimish? How about Avazev Shimish? If let's say the permanent kohen got a mum, so now he has a mum. V'Shimish, right? V'Shimish, and now the replacement kohen had the opportunity to be mishamish as a kohen gadol. So Zerishin Kol Mitzvahs Kun Olav, when he comes back, when he recovers from whatever his mum is, he becomes the Kohen Gadol again. Hasheni, that the replacement ain't a kosher lo Kohen Gadol lo Kohen Het. He's not kosher for either one of them. So in other words, he can't do the malacha of Shmoyne Begadim, and he doesn't become a Kohen Het yet because it's Malam Kodesh. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Avad. Let's say you went and did Avodasai Kshera. Let's say you went and did the Avodah B'Shmoyne Begadim replacement Kayin. So Avodasai is Kshera. So now, Avodasim Shalmi, when he brings the Par Yom Kippurim, who pays for it? So that's something that the Kohen Gadol pays for out of his pocket personally. So does the replacement Kohen does he pay for that? Or does the original Kohen pay for that? So Moses says, Nishmina Adav. Let's see from the story. Ma'asav ben Elaim, Mitziparin, She'ira Keri Liam Kohen Gadol B'Yom Kippurim, V'nechas ben Elam V'Shimish Tachta B'Kuna Gadol. What happened was, whoever was the Kohen Gadol and Ben Elam's times, Ben Elam had been appointment had been appointed to be the replacement, just in case. And what do you know his luck would have? It Ira Kerry, there was Ira Kerry the Kohen Gadol, and the Carbonated says doesn't mean Mamish Kerry because it's brought down in Ovis that Shaloi Ira Kerry the Kohen Gadol be Yom Kippurim Me'olam, so it never happened. It means Kerry knows happened since it happens to be, became Tomei, however it happened. It's not elaborated over here, but the Kohen Gadol became Tomei, and Ben Elam went and he did avoid that Yom Kippur. V'amal Melech Kishiyatza, and at some point, I guess over Yom Kippur, he says to the king, "Adoni Melech Paviso Shel Yoim Mishali Hen Kraven or Mishal Kohen Gadol." Who pays for the par? I'm sorry, the par of the ayil, not the soy. The soy Yom Kippur is not from the Kohen Gadol, so it's par of the ayil. Who pays for the par of ayil? Is it myself? Do I pay for it, or is it the permanent Kohen Gadol? Is he the one that pays for it? The other Melech Mashal. So the king understood what he meant to say is, in other words, do I pay for it, and now I'm the Kohen Gadol? Amaloi ben Elam, hey ben Elam, loy dayecha, elush shimashta sha'achas of misham v'oyolam. Dayecha, that's good enough. No, it's the fact that you had the opportunity to replace the Kohen Gadol for this Yom Kippur, don't let it get to your head. That's good enough. V'yed ben Elam shahusmi kunigdalos. There, ben Elam knew already. Okay, by the response, by the king's response, he knew already. Okay, uh, that's it. At least I got to be king for a day, or Kohen Gadol for a day. The Gemara brings down a story also that has to do with Toma, Ma'aser b'Shimon ben Kimchis. He went to talk with a Goyish king. It wasn't such a good idea. Why? It was right before this Manim Kippur. So a spit, a saliva from the mouth of this Goyish king, spritzed al begadov on Shimei Kimchis's begadim, v'timatoi made him tummy. V'nichnas Yehuda achi v'shimish tachta bekuna. So his brother Yehuda became the Kohen Gadol for that day. V'ros imon shnei boneh kam gedolim yamechad. So it turns out his mother Kimchis, right, saw two of her sons become Kahan Gedolim on one day. And actually, the Gemara says, Shiva Banim Hoyle Kimchis, she had seven sons, with Kulam Shim Shabakuna Gedolim. All seven were Kahanim Gedolim. Sholchacham Amrul, I said, Ma, Masim Toivim Yesh Biyadech. What kind of good deeds do you have? They're such as chus. Amalhem said to them, Yovei Laim Ro, Kuris Besi Cyrus Roshi. I never exposed my hair even at home. Bemis Chaluki Miyamai. I was very careful how I took off my shirt and just flip it off. And as I made sure that I was always covered, and I took it off, I forget who says this, it's always the right way. In other words, I lifted it out slowly and made sure that I was constantly covered, so I never saw the inner seams of my shirt. Amrun, so they said about her, Kol kimchai kemach, all flowers, flower, flowers, flower. But the kimcha, the kimchis, obviously play on her name, soilis is fine flower, and it's the best flower. Kornala, again, another play in words, Kol kvoid abas melech pnimo, mishbetzois zahav levusha. Is her levush is why she was zeicha to to have seven sons who are Kahanim Gedolim. Thank you for joining me. See you tomorrow.